Hi, my name is Andrea Nieves, and I'm the Senior Director of Policy at the Bar Associations, and I've been here for about a year.
Can you talk about what led you to this role?
Yeah, so I worked as a death penalty lawyer for a couple of years in North Carolina, and really solidified for me that while litigation is a really crucial tool for righting the wrongs in our society, it doesn't always do all the work. And in a lot of cases, we need to enact legislative reform or other kinds of reform in order to make the kinds of changes that we want to see. And so that led me to working for about 10 years with the public defender offices in New York City, where I did a lot of legislative advocacy and other policy work at the city and state level. And that's what's brought me to the Bar Association, so I can continue that level of advocacy work on behalf of our members, so that we can create change here in Minnesota too.
What role does the MSBA play in shaping policy or legislation at the state capitol?
MSBA members have so much experience and expertise in the law. We're lawyers, right? That's what we do. And so the legislature really looks to us as the experts on a lot of topics that impact our members. And so I really see us as partners in either developing or reviewing legislation that's before the legislature. And I'm just so proud of our members for always stepping up and weighing in and helping to create a system of laws that is effective and efficient. And so I just think we're really a crucial player in many of the niche areas of law that the legislature is looking at.
Can you share some recent policy wins that the MSBA has been a part of?
A big one is the personal leave continuance policy that the MSBA advocated for and won in the Minnesota Supreme Court in 2024. The court rule that was enacted provides a presumptive personal leave continuance for certain civil cases when an attorney's personal circumstances temporarily prevent them from representing a party. This rule change is really exciting because it's one of the only one of its kind across the country, and it has been a real game changer for attorneys across the state who no longer have to sacrifice their health or their families for their law careers.
How does the MSBA determine which policies or bills to support?
Our members decide which policies they want to bring forth through our process. So we kind of have two tracks. One is legislation. So if you want to try to get a bill passed at the legislature, you need to bring it up through a section or a committee and then bring it to the legislative committee. And if they approve it, then it goes to the assembly. Alternatively, a lot of issues can be rectified through just a court rule change process or other sort of administrative process. And those proposals, again, would go through a section or committee, and then they would go up through the MSBA General Policy Judiciary Committee. And then finally, all of the policy positions are ultimately decided by the MSBA Assembly.
If members have strong feelings about an issue or policy, how can they share their perspective or take action?
If you want to get involved in policy work, we would love to have your involvement. And the best way to do that is get involved in a section or committee that does the work that you care about. So for example, if you think there are some changes that need to be made in relation to real property, join the real property law section, and they can help you assess those changes that you have in mind and potentially bring them to fruition at the Capitol. If you care deeply about access to justice issues, join the Access to Justice Committee. If you are really interested in ethics and just regulation of the legal profession, join the Professional Regulation Committee. There's so many opportunities to get involved in the areas that interest you, and that's ultimately where those policy positions come from.
Can you talk a little bit about the Minnesota Lawyer Referral Program and how it supports attorneys' work and the public?
Yes, so the Minnesota Lawyer Referral Program is a public service run by Hennepin County and Ramsey County Bar Associations. We connect members of the public with vetted attorneys in over 50 areas of law. I'm really proud of this program because I think It does a great job of supporting our members to help grow their business and connect them with clients. But it's also a great public service as well, because we have reduced fee programs, or we're able to connect people in the community with legal resources, including legal aid providers, government agencies. So it's really a win-win for the public and for our attorneys.
How does your work connect to improving access to justice for Minnesotans? Are there any recent policy wins that have been particularly impactful?
The MSBA Access to Justice Committee is dedicated to addressing exactly this issue and helping to bridge the gap, the access to justice gap in Minnesota. And so this committee is really special because it brings together all different kinds of interested stakeholders, which include legal aid providers, pro bono counsels, and pro bono professionals from private law firms, just really all sorts of different individuals who are interested in this issue. One of the topics that they took on recently that I'm really proud of the committee members who championed this reform is a change to the emeritus rule. So for those of you who aren't familiar, we have a rule on the books the MSBA brought about 10 years ago, which is called the emeritus rule, which allows retired attorneys to continue practicing law in a limited fashion in order to provide pro bono services, which is a great rule. And it went into effect about 10 years ago, but it was very limited in scope when we got that rule change passed. And we realized that only a couple dozen attorneys had taken advantage of this rule, which seemed like a real missed opportunity to help bridge the access to justice gap. So a number of really dedicated members came together and said, we need to change this rule. So they surveyed MSBA members who are retired or retiring attorneys, found out what the issues were, why people weren't applying for this. And then they drafted a new rule that would address all of the gaps that they had identified. They worked with other stakeholders, most importantly the CLE board, and they came together and they drafted a petition and submitted it to the Minnesota Supreme Court. And early this year, that petition was approved in its entirety. And so now we have a new rule that the committee is working to educate all the lawyers in the state about. And we're just so proud of our members who worked so hard for this change for so many years. And we're really dedicated to bringing about a new rule that's going to help bridge that access to justice gap.
Awesome.